Yep. And start recording. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you all for your warm association. Wish you all a continued happy Deepavali. Um, Before we move ahead with today's class on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhu, I would like to read the quote of Srila Prabhupada for 21st October. Prabhupada says anything can be done by practice. So if we take Krishna Prasadam, the tongue is restricted, locked to some limited, then all other senses become controlled. This was spoken by His Divine Grace in Vrindavan, October 21st, 1977. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We'll give it a few minutes before our speaker joins. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Preeti Mataji, can I say something?
Hare Krishna, Sumi Mataji. Welcome to the conference call.
Welcome. Welcome, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Just that in the group, in the WhatsApp group, like I'm not able to access community members' contacts with the names. No, usually it is there in all other things. But now it is a community. And
Yeah.
community la vandu, we have to press on groups. But the group again, only announcement group is there. And there, if I go to community, then it goes back again to the. So I
Yes.
actually wanted to express my appreciation to oh my God, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji the other day. No, she gave a class. At the end of the class, I couldn't stay, so I thought I'll send her a message. And I was desperately trying here and there, and I couldn't get her number. I think I messaged you afterwards, but is
Yes,
that
Mataji.
not possible, Mataji, to get the contacts?
Yes, Mataji, because the problem is in this community, we just have one group. We didn't
Okay.
want to have too many groups because the announcements, class announcements don't show up properly, right?
Okay.
When you have one community and you have multiple groups under it. And there is no need for us to have multiple groups, it's just one announcement. So that is the reason, Mataji. If we have multiple groups separately, then you'll be able to find all the information.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
But do reach out to us, Mataji. We have the contacts of everyone and anyone you want.
Oh, sure.
And we'll definitely help you, Mataji.
Okay. One-stop shop, Madri, I'll come to you for everything. One point contact.
Sure, Mataji, anytime.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
I don't know why Prabhu's delayed. You can check with them. Not sure if he's traveling or something. I'm trying to reach him, Mataji's and Prabhuji's. Please hold on. Jai Mataji, we can all chant till Prabhuji comes. Whoever is available to chant, you can unmute and chant. Prabhu says he'll be here in 2 minutes, so we can wait.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha. Prabhuji, thank you so much for your valuable time and association and joining us on this day, wonderful day. I think it's Diwali there still. So wish you a very happy Diwali, Prabhu. Though we finished our Diwali, we hope your Diwali went really well. And thanks for taking time out on this day when it is very difficult to take time off. Thank you for being there for us, Prabhu. And today's topic is Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, chapter 3 to 24 to 31. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. You may now take over the call.
Hare Krishna, and please excuse me for logging in late. I had been to Pune and just drive fast, go fast, and just came in. I was a bit concerned that I will not able to make it, but somehow Krishna's mercy, I could make it, but still joining late. Wish you all a happy Deepavali, and I'm sure this Kartik Vrata is going on great. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj, Indradhamma Swami Maharaj, there are several great stalwarts have organized big yatras. So those of us who couldn't make it to such yatras, we will celebrate our spiritual moments in this cyberspace. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. So this is the third chapter of Antya Khanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chapter titled Mahaprabhu's Deliverance of Sarvabhauma, Exhibition of his six-armed form, and Journey to Bengal. We will read from verse 224 to 231. He Prabhu re ajabhava adisha gane purna hayya o niravadi bhave mane. Krishna, some distance. Apana shakala bhakta sanghe nritya kare apanara prema yoga range. The same Lord whom controllers of the universe like Brahma and Shiva constantly meditate on was now absorbed in ecstatic love and personally dancing in the association of his devotees. Text 226. I offer say Sabha Bhaktera Paye Mora Namaskara Gaura Chandra Sange Yandra Kirtana Vihara. I offer my obeisances at the feet of all those devotees with whom Gaura Chandra enjoyed his Kirtana pastimes. Text 227. In this way, Sri Gaurachandra enchantingly danced throughout the night on the shore of the ocean. Henamate Sindhu Tire Sri Gaurachandra Gaura Sundaram Sarva Ratri Nritya Kare Ati Manohara. Text 228. Niravadi Gadadara Takena Samhati Prabhu Gadadera Vicheda Nahikati. Gadadara constantly remained with the Lord. There was never any separation between Gadadara and the Lord. Text 229. Ki bojane ki shayane ki paryatane Gadadara Prabhure sevane anukshane. Gadadara always served the Lord even while he was eating, sleeping or moving about. Text 230. Gadadara sammuke padena Bhagavata Suni Prabhuhena Prema Rase Mahamata. When Gadadara recited Srimad Bhagavatam before the Lord would become intoxicated by the mellows of ecstatic love. 231. Gadadara Vakya Matra Prabhu Sukhihayam Brahme Gadadara Sange Vaishnava Alayam. The Lord was pleased with whatever Gadadara would say, and he would take Gadadara along on visits to the residences of Vaishnavas. Shri Gadadara Pandit Goswami would always remain with Mahaprabhu and would please Gaura Sundara by chanting and dancing throughout the night on the shore of the ocean. Shri Gadadara Pandita Prabhu would never live separate from the Lord. While eating, sleeping or wandering around, Gadadara Pandita Prabhu always served the Lord. It was Gadadara Pandita who constantly recited Srimad Bhagavatam before Mahaprabhu. Shri Gaura Sundara would visit the residences of the Vaishnavas with Gadadara Pandit Prabhu. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this science of Krishna consciousness, which is unique to itself, given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is something that happens very rare. Every Kali Yuga, such a pastimes doesn't happen. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibits transcendental ecstasy, and to support the transcendental ecstasy exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participate, enhances, and try to somehow increase the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The confidential associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their primary agenda is to somehow or other see to that Mahaprabhu's ecstasy is intact. Those of us who have been following Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and continuing to hear Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata, one thing that we can constantly, repeatedly hear from these pages is about exhibition of transcendental ecstasy. Somebody dancing throughout the night, somebody roaming around like a mad person, somebody completely losing their external consciousness is not a normal scenario. So, this ecstasy that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting is exhibited not for showing off, but for setting a benchmark and revealing the potency of the Sankirtan mission. So, as a first reflection of the three reflections that we are going to have today, I want to discuss about ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. We are going to analyze the scenario of what it means to be ecstatic. We definitely have experience being in ISKCON, being in Krishna consciousness, of getting glimpses of ecstasy. I am sure all the assembled members will have some high moments in our devotional journey that we would find those moments unforgettable because they were not fake. They were natural, genuine expression of devotional sentiments. But incidentally, such ecstasy doesn't sustain for a long time. So I wanted to talk about the scenario of spiritual ecstasy in our spiritual journey. The word ecstasy is the effect. But what is the cause? Because ecstasy is a revelation, outcome of certain cause. What is that we do? We get ecstasy. And what is the characteristic feature of this ecstasy? And in our Krishna conscious journey, what are all those ingredients that we need to watch out to ensure that ecstasy is coming our way? These are all our three reflections today. The first reflection is about the transcendental ecstasy. What is this ecstasy, which we call as an outcome? What makes this ecstasy to manifest? We will discuss as the first thing. When we hear about devotion versus dharma, bhakti versus dharma. When we hear about dharma, religiosity, we pretty much talk about our duties and roles and responsibilities. The word ecstasy is never used there. It is important that the uniqueness of the path of bhakti is such that this feeling of persistent feeling of eternal feeling of being ecstatic is something that defines the devotional sentiment. So, religiosity, dharma, morality, ethics, all those things which are pretty much defines about our varnashrama existence gives us happiness, gives us satisfaction, gives us contentment, even gives us some sort of an accomplished feeling, which sometimes people use the word in terms of being elated and ecstatic. But otherwise, in general, it's about happiness, contented, elated. The word ecstasy, the word being in the transcendental happiness platform consistently and eternally is unique to bhakti only. So, as a first reflection, that which cause a person achieve that ecstasy are many, many things, but I'm going to list only 4 things. Number 1, the company of like-minded Vaishnavas immediately triggers ecstasy. In whatever proportion. If you see Vaishnava Acharya's literature, Vaishnava Acharya's songs, one thing that is repeatedly narrated is what happens in the company of a Vaishnava. So, company of like-minded, pure souls, may it be 5% pure, 10% pure, 20% pure, 70% pure, the outcome is ecstasy. Bodhayanta parasparam kadayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So if every ingredient in Krishna consciousness is worked out nicely, but the right company is not worked out, the ecstatic realization and the ecstasy is never manifesting, even for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Recollect the episode of Shiva Sangan, nocturnal kirtans in Shiva Sangan. Caitanya Mahaprabhu could easily recognize a foreign element and he didn't feel ecstatic. So when like-minded Vaishnavas, when they come together, the net outcome is simply happiness, ecstasy in devotional service. To that much amount of time they are together. His Holiness Hanumat Prashek Maharaj used to always say this. If we are able to assemble Vaishnavas in one room, We don't need agenda to be chalked out. The net outcome of that assembly is only ecstasy. You don't need to have a prelude. You don't need to have a formality. You just hit on at the get-go. Because of the comfort of the other person aligned with a similar mindset. So the first ingredient which triggers is the right company. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited ecstasy. Every episode of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy, if you take, it has always happened only in a specific company. When right set of followers, right set of fellow members, companions, and ecstasy. Second ingredient, which will trigger ecstasy, is the transcendental sound vibration, whether it is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord or narration of the pastimes. Because there is one singular aspect of focus which is to please Krishna. He is our beloved. He is the personality to whom we look up to. Then any conversations around him, it will trigger ecstasy. That is why we hear pastimes where Vaishnavas, when they hear Krishna Katha, when they read Krishna Katha, only tears flows from their eyes. Radhanath Maharaj used to narrate a beautiful pastime of Srinivasacharya's journey. Srinivasacharya wanted to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he came to Jagannath Puri. And he realized Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already left the planet. And he was directed to Gadadhara Pandit. And he wanted to learn Srimad Bhagavata from Gadadhara Pandit. But it so happened, Gadadhara Pandit, feeling separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wept and wept and wept and wept. And the copy of Srimad Bhagavatam that he had got erased. When you sit together and hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a Vaishnava, that ecstasy is unexplainable. I'll give you 2, 3 episodes. One is, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was narrating this pastime of Srinivasacharya to a larger assembly long time back, probably 20 years before, maybe 25 years before. His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was sitting in that meeting, in that assembly, when Maharaj is narrating this pastime. And you will hear very clear when Maharaj is speaking, Jayapataka Maharaj would start screaming, loudly crying, couldn't control. Generally, they don't exhibit like that, but it was meant for a very private forum and a very private setup. Maybe only our own devotees were there. So we hear an immediate outburst of ecstasy. When were in Vrindavan in 2002, 25th disappearance day, celebration of 25th anniversary of disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. 4 days non-stop Prabhupada Katha. Morning 9 till evening 9. 4 days. Never satiating. In fact, one of the turning points of my spiritual journey was those 4 days. We were all crying, weeping, and not realizing what was going on around. That is during, at least during those moments, we had experienced what it means to be in the assembly and hearing about the glories of the Lord and his devotees. The third ingredient, which emulates, which brings in transcendental ecstasy, is when we are executing devotional service under the order of spiritual master, we get unlimited ecstasy. As we perform service, I personally had moments. I'm not saying I had very long big experience, but whatever spurts of experience that I had, just by we executing, exhibiting, involving ourselves in the service given to us, by we exhibiting that service, you get that ecstasy. That ecstasy, because it is our constitutional nature. When we are performing the service as per the order of the spiritual master, without any expectation, that rasa, that ecstasy, that element of transcendental feeling, you get, and that is our impetus, that is our force for us to keep going on. So that is why, for us to feel Krishna consciousness, the beauty, glory of Krishna consciousness, we need to get active involvement in the service after and regularly hearing Krishna Katha in the right company. And the fourth ingredient which triggers ecstasy is when we share the ecstasy. When I share what I gained, when I preach what I understood, when I go to explain someone and try to win them for my spiritual master and for the Supreme Lord, that ecstasy is superb. Any amount of pain, challenges, obstacles, disturbances will not stop me. All the preachers, Deepavali celebrations. So all the preachers, when they are preaching, traveling, extending themselves to the fallen souls, they are doing it with absolute ecstasy. Because when they are doing that, they know it pleases the Lord, it pleases the parampara, and it actually brings in the real ecstasy. So the first reflection, hence, is about the ingredients. What causes ecstasy? Right company, right company with the right wavelength of ours. As much as you are matured, that much ecstasy you get. But you definitely get some. In that company, right hearing about the glories of the Lord. And number 3, by engaging ourselves in the service of the Lord without any other expectations, but for just to execute and please the Lord. And 4 is about when we are glorifying the Lord. So these 4 ingredients will trigger the transcendental ecstasy, which is unique to the Bhakti movement, which is unique to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. In fact, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has said that this ecstasy is the nishana. It is a, it is an indication that Krishna consciousness is working. Second reflection is about how these ecstatic moments in Krishna consciousness, when we are hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, we are hearing about Srila Prabhupada's Katha, we are hearing about Krishna Leela, how this spiritual ecstasy happened to be consistently and exponentially increasing, and what contributes for us to develop the initial experience of ecstasy to sustain and eventually reach the stage of the benchmark set by our acharyas. Because in this particular context, we are talking about Mahaprabhu's Kirtana pastimes, Sankirtana pastimes, and how whoever had been in that pastimes absorbed in the ecstatic Kirtan with the Supreme Lord, they are getting freed from all entanglement. So, as a second reflection, I want to say, what does this ecstasy do to us, and how do we sustain them and take it to a larger and further, so that we are able to completely remain Kirtaniya Sadahari mood. So as a second reflection, I want to say three things. We were discussing in our counselors meeting the other day. When our heart is free from all sorts of upadhi, all sorts of designations, all sorts of identification, all sorts of, sense of accomplishment, then this ecstasy that we gain out of those four will be sustaining and expanding. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatparatyena nirmalam. Upadis sometimes restrict our opportunity to be ecstatic. Sometimes just because of our upadi, even though we may have all other ingredients, we have to, be frozen. Prakasananda Saraswati couldn't comprehend Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, about whom, we had heard and we have heard several times, how he got changed Pratap Rudra, he got completely, amazed looking at Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's audience with Pratap Rudra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's audience with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's audience with Prakashananda Saraswati and their followers, they all happened when they are ready to relinquish about their upadhis. So in our heart, during the course of the class, during the course of our interaction with devotees, during the course of our, being in the yatra, that ecstasy, because of the ingredients, 4 ingredients that I mentioned, because it is there in some proportion, we are able to experience them. But as soon as we step out of that, we are not able to sustain them, scale them, expand them. Is because of this element of upadhi, designation, identification, recognition about ourselves. And the second, that which contributes to the delay, contributes to the withering away of this ecstasy, is about the point that Rupa Goswami is explaining. For pure devotional service, sometimes jnana and karma also happens to be an obstacle. So many times we have come to Krishna consciousness, we have started chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are reading, participating in Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, but still we have not got that necessary ecstasy, necessary sustainability in devotional consciousness. It is because somewhere the Anya Abhilasha, what are those Abhilasha? Because Bhakti and Dharma, devotion and righteousness, devotion versus duty, devotion versus knowledge, higher consciousness versus scholarliness. There is always some sort of a arrangement between these two combinations. Knowledge, dharma, duty, all of them should be encouraging, dovetailing towards us to become ecstatic in bhakti. But if the proportion is wrong, then we do something in the name of bhakti, but it is not bhakti. It's okay, it is good. So that is why we were discussing the other day that devotional aspect of it is so special. Every other frill elements are to be removed. Then the real devotion is, that is present in Vrindavan, that is present in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan Yajna. When you dance in the Kirtan, when you are just in the assembly of Vaishnavas, simply hearing Krishna Katha, when you are distributing the holy name, when you are in Dham, holy Dham, with all these combinations, then there is jnana, karma, all the abhilashas are sunya. Sometimes we have abhilasha for puja, labha, pratishta. Sometimes we have abhilasha, we have some desire for becoming scholarly, intelligent, accomplished. My, I, me, mine. And the third ingredient, which kind of restricts the ecstasy, which kind of delays the ecstasy, is when we try to add our own agenda to a larger agenda. Prabhupada says, that so long as you are trying to follow what I am saying, what I have asked you all to do, without adulteration, without interpretation, without wrong application, you'll succeed. He writes in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he says that when we have a platform or a forum in Krishna consciousness, we need to learn to see how do we conduct in that forum with especially senior and accomplished Vaishnavas are there. So to explain the third aspect, I want to mention this point of enthusiasm versus execution. If the enthusiasm supersedes your education in Krishna consciousness, that enthusiasm will cause disruption. So hence enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness should be proportionate to your education, surrender in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we see devotees overperforming with limited intelligence. So that's very risky proposition. Madhyada Vyatikrama can happen. Disruptions can happen. Offenses can happen. And ecstasies can be delayed. So hence my second reflection is to say that our ecstasy that we gain in the assembly of Vaishnavas, when we discuss Krishna Katha, when we are executing devotional service, when we are distributing Krishna consciousness knowledge to others, is not able to sustain. We are not able to sustain them when we are either attached to our upadhis or we are definitely clinging on to other abhilashas, desires, aspirations, outcome from this. Because just because we are chanting, we are better off than before. But we need to still remove. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not give audience to Prataparudra till he was instructed by Sarva Bhattacharya to relinquish all the frills and designations and just simply go as a simple, humble servant. And the third aspect is about the preparedness to provide a respect to the audience and assembly and watch out for the enthusiasm which needs to be in proportion to our devotional understanding. Otherwise, our enthusiasm could cause disruption in the form of disrespecting, offending, or wrong application. So the superiority complex, the feeling of, I can do, all those things come when you're enthusiastic, but enthusiasm is not supported by relevant education. It's a second reflection. Third reflection is, which is a very common, obvious ones, that those of us who are not careful about our own activities in terms of how I conduct myself, how I behave myself. So in terms of Krishna consciousness life, in terms of Krishna consciousness journey, in terms of being a practicing devotee, one need to learn to be free from Nam Aparad, Dam Aparad, Seva Aparad, Vaishnava Aparad, because Aparadis and Mayavadis and Sunyavadis and those who are crooked-minded, envious people, these all the four categories of people they will never be able to comprehend how much ever they scratch the surface. They will never be able to experience ecstasy, even though the episode is happening right in front of them. The Prabhupada writes, Duryodhana couldn't enjoy. He had every possible opportunity to just go and take the association of Krishna, but Krishna was right in front of him. He couldn't enjoy, he couldn't celebrate, he couldn't worship, he couldn't glorify. So, in our devotional journey, this word ecstasy, in fact, the word devotion doesn't exist for these four categories of people. Nam, Dam, Seva, Vaishnava, Aparadis, Mayavadis, those who are envious and those who are crooked, they all are not able to come even closer. They cannot even scratch the surface. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chota Haridas episode, he set a kind of a benchmark, saying that if you are to be into the Sankirtan mission, you have to relinquish some portions. So, we spoke about two sets of portions, one without which ecstasy is not sustained, but the third is without which they cannot even get ecstasy. So, our Krishna consciousness and its uniqueness is about getting into this transcendental ecstatic moments, Kevala Ananda Khanda, and that Ananda, Paramananda, Brahmananda, Satchidananda, all the Anandas that this Mayavadis use, Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion, first chapter, discussing about the 6 characteristic features of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that one of the characteristic features of devotional service, pure devotional service, is the beginning of all auspiciousness. In that paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is writing some wonderful, thing. I'll just read a portion of this. One who is not in Krishna consciousness usually cannot sit silently even for half an hour. The yoga system teaches that if you become silent, you will realize that you are God. The system may be all right for materialistic person, but how long will they be able to keep themselves silent? Artificially, they may sit down for so-called meditation, but immediately after their yogic performance, they will engage themselves again in such activities as illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, and many other nonsensical things. But a Krishna conscious person gradually elevates himself without endeavoring for the so-called silent meditation, simply because he is engaged in Krishna consciousness. He automatically gives up all this nonsense and develops a high character. One develops the highest character by becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. The conclusion is that no one can truly have any good qualities if he is lacking Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada is saying this whole paragraph about this is the first chapter of NOD. Krishna consciousness is all auspicious. So he says that Shubhada, Kleshagni, Shubhada, all auspiciousness come. And the Prabhupada is giving the example of when Krishna consciousness is there, materialistic paradigm even changes. The tigers, elephants, deers, and all the other wild elements joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and were participating by dancing and chanting Hare Krishna, which is unusual. So the power of this Sankirtan mission is to provide the transcendental happiness, which these 4 ingredients will stop. Anarthas, Mayavada, crookedness, and enviousness. They cannot get access to means ecstasy. Even there, things are happening right in front of them. So this ananda that this process of Krishna consciousness will give is no way closer to whatever materialistic ananda or mayavadic ananda or yogic ananda somebody will explain. So these are the three sets of reflections from this current context, even though it is a very simple context where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is having a gala time with Gadadhar Pandit, when he is narrating pastimes, when he is dancing with him, when he is constantly in his company. The simple one singular agenda that is centered around Mahaprabhu's life is transcendental ecstasy. And Srila Prabhupada is making that available for all of us. It is in our foray, it is in our hands. How will we take advantage of them and experience and have a consistent, eternal life of transcendental ecstasy? Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hare Hare Bol. Any questions or comments? I'll be happy to respond.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for such a beautiful class. I really liked it when you were narrating your experience of hearing Krishna Katha continuously and also talking about the sources of triggers for ecstasy. That was very interesting to hear, Prabhu. And yes, we are actually provided with ample opportunities, but I think it all paramounts to how much our absorption is and how we appreciate what we have received. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I also like the other point you mentioned that our enthusiasm should be supported with proper understanding. Without proper understanding, exhibiting enthusiasm is only very superficial. So thank you so much, Prabhu. The class was very interesting as always. And we open up the forum for questions. If anyone has any questions, comments, thoughts, realizations for Prabhu, please go ahead.
There's a question in the chat box. Sunil has asked, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for explaining what triggers ecstasy, how to sustain it before. You have mentioned ecstasy takes place among like-minded devotees as per your wavelength. How do we increase that? So we mentioned that if we can somehow or other, the second reflection that I mentioned is what are those ingredients, three ingredients, which delays increasing them. So upadis, the Anya Abhilasha, and definitely, the tendency to somehow or other be over enthusiastic. I mean, kind of wrong application, because many times in ISKCON, in our devotional circle, we have very sincere devotees. Their intentions are nice. Their aspirations are nice. Just that their execution and application is kind of, not aligned. Because what happens is that when we are enthusiastic, you should also watch out. Is my enthusiasm? It's like, child is enthusiastic when you bring in something new, but the child doesn't know how to handle them unless they are properly educated. So the way to increase them is the way you can manage to do the first thing, first reflection, the 4 points, in a more consistent manner, organically increasing them, and simultaneously you have to reduce. That is why every time when Rupa Goswami gives an advice, the Rupa Goswami always mentions that what is to be done for and what are to be avoided against. So this for and against needs to be understood. So those against things are upadhi to be removed, anya abhilasha to be reduced, and that can happen when you take care of right company, when you take care of right hearing in that company, when you are able to execute devotional service in that company, and when you are able to present that company. So you keep doing that, increase the quantum. If I'm doing it 2 hours every week, can I increase it by 3 hours? Can I increase it by 4 hours? Can I increase it by 5 hours? Can I increase it by 6 hours? Then organically, when we are able to develop it, a day will come when it becomes our first nature. When it becomes our first nature, it becomes very natural. The day one, when we were told about Nirjala fasting, it was difficult. But when we were with somebody who did Nirjala fasting, uh, and when we did service with them and we heard with them, I'm sure all of you in this forum would agree that if you are on a Janmashtami day or a Gaura Purnima day, when you have to fast, the successful fasting happens for those who keep themselves busy that day, either in hearing or in service or in various things. So the sustainability happens only when you organically increase them, and there is no other better way. So it is like I stop eating tobacco and start drinking cow's milk, then my mouth ulcer will go. Just I drink cow's milk thinking that it will clear my mouth ulcer. Still, you spit your tobacco, it's not going to go. So, both the combination of organically increasing the ingredients that are needed for ecstasy whilst reducing the uh, uh, obstacles which can delay the ecstasy. Of course, the last one anyway, the points which will not let us experience ecstasy. So, in terms of the recent experiences for me is we get to see a lot of enthusiastic devotees, and there are a lot of problems. The problems with this enthusiastic devotees are they are over enthusiastic, over and beyond their realization. If you are over and beyond your realization, then you land up in hurting or making mistakes, and you get to think that, oh my God, I am only trying to do for better. But why is the other person not understanding? The other person is not understanding because you overdid it. If somebody is over caring for you, if somebody is over loving for you beyond their genuine, love, then it suffocates. So we'll have to be watching out for those vices. I'm sure this process has got potency to take us to Goloka Vrindavan Dham. Why will it not give us the necessary ecstasy? Make sense? Any other questions or
Hare Krishna,
comments?
Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Just want to know, like, what is boundary line? Am I over enthusiastic, or like how to differentiate that?
The idea is that I'll give a simple example. In our congregation once, this I'm talking about 23 years before. I was running the base, maybe 26 years before. I was the head of the base, and we had around 10, 12 boys in our ashram. And naturally, they had respect, love, care. And we were uh, we were working in the outside world, whatever little decent salaries that we were making. Some of the boys in the ashram were making less salary. They were freshers, juniors, whatever. For my birthday, all these boys put together, they came and brought so much of money, saying that Prabhu, around 15,000, 20,000 rupees in those days. I'm talking about 2003, 2004 time. Whilst the gesture was nice, the execution had a problem. For example, Sunil Prabhu, wish you a happy birthday. Here is a diamond ring to you. Is it wrong? It is wrong because I still don't know you, and I am overpouring beyond my allowance of the relationship. I still don't know you. You still don't know me, and I outdo. There's a saying in Hindi. It's called "Chor ka lakshana." I will do that only when there is a anartha, unwanted things in the heart. So when you are over ecstatic, and okay, so the point I want to say is your ecstasy, if it is harming others, if it is disrupting others' peace and happiness, if it is not causing pleasure, what to watch out for? Like for example, sometimes people will be ecstatically singing. For them, they'll be ecstatic. But they may not be singing in sur, they may not be singing in tal. They may get ecstasy. But what is because the experience they give to others? So sometimes we are so confident in our stupidity, we don't even realize what we do to others. So self-awareness that am I doing? So it is supposed to be a cross-check. Your ecstasy is not only your ecstasy. Your ecstasy is supposed to influence positively to the near and dear ones. If you want to have private ecstasy, sing in your bathroom, dance in the bathroom, stay alone and jump. Besur ho, kuch bhi ho, Krishna will accept that. But when we are fellow devotees, fellow Vaishnavas in the community, we need to make sure that my execution is giving a positive outcome, not a painful outcome. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, if there are no other questions, then probably we let you all have your wonderful festivities. We have Govardhan Puja here tomorrow. I'm not sure for you all it is today or tomorrow. Make sure you attend the festival proper rites in the Govardhan Leela pastime. If you have a facility to attend Giriraj festival, please attend, don't skip it. If you skip it, the snakes of Govardhan will come to your house. That's what it is written there. Please make sure that you attend the festival wherever you are. At least meditate, read. It's a wonderful pastime. As much as you hear, it increases your love for Krishna. Because Govardhan Leela is only love, simply love, unlimited love, and only ecstasy. And the way Krishna does is superb. Plenty of classes, so many Maharajas, so many devotees have given. So it is important. No, it was funny because Prabhupada writes that actually in the if you read Krishna book, the last paragraph in the Govardhan Lila pastime, it says that it is imperative that we all celebrate Govardhan Lila festival. So it is, of course, I made it on a lighter note, but then somewhere we participate in Giriraj's pastime.
Okay,
If there are no other questions, then we can stop this.
sure. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you, dear
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
Mm.
Sorry, I interrupted. Hi Krishna Prabhu, sorry, I didn't mean that was funny. Just the example you gave that sometimes somebody think they are very ecstatic and enthusiastic, but the other
So you
person.
are telling about that. Mataji, how many times
That
we have
was
seen that? Have
funny.
you not seen that? We have plenty of times I thought I have done a fantastic kirtan and ecstatic, and I come home and I kind of hear them. Wow, once again let me hear my own wonderful kirtan. Itne sare jagah par, so many places I would have slipped my sur and tal, and so many things. I said, oh my God, this I was enjoying. How many people I would have harmed? So it happens.
That was funny, the way you said it. Happy Diwali, happy Govardhan.
Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, dear devotees. We'll end the call here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai, Shla Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai, Shri Shri Chaitanya
Jai.
Mahaprabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. All good.